Hello learners of the Postgraduate Diploma in Environmental and Occupational Health. Today we will discuss the lecture and the module on organic farming. This forms a part of the course MEVE 003, that is Agriculture and Allied Sector. So all of us are now attracted to organic products, those which do not have any kind of chemical in the process which has been used in the processing, or any kind of artificial synthetic like fertilizers or pesticides that have been applied on the crops, or for that matter even on the dairy products. So all of us are quite conscious about this because we are conscious about the environmental health and also about the human health. So that is why these days we are getting a lot of the organic products, and there are specialized shops which also deal with the organic products. So this may be, it may range from your dairy products or from your face washes or the cosmetics, and also it can go even in your kitchen, all the kind of the grains, the wheat or the rice or whatever you use. So everything is now coming up, and people are now aware of the indiscriminate use of these chemicals that have been applied in the agricultural field, and those hazards and the impacts that have been occurring, because that can then enter your groundwater system. And even many people are complaining of several kind of the ailments which are leading to the organ failures of various kinds. So all this can be attributed due to the leaching of these chemicals into the groundwater and then causing a lot of environmental pollution. So this module is going to deal with the organic farming initiatives that have been done globally. After listening to this module, you will be able to explain the concept of organic farming, assess the benefits of organic products and deleterious effects of conventional farming, and also comprehend about the role of organic farming in improving the environmental and also the occupational health. So organic farming. So from the word itself we understand that this has something to do with organic, something to do with natural, or that is going along with nature. So this is an agricultural system that uses fertilizers of organic origin, such as it can include the compost manure, the green manure and also bone meal. There is a lot of emphasis on the crop rotation. Now this originated early in the 20th century and to the rapid changing farming practices or the agricultural practices. And the organic agriculture alone, this accounts for 70 million hectares globally. Biological pest control, the mixed cropping and fostering of the insect predators, these are quite encouraged in the organic farming techniques. Now, there are some organic standards which are used, and this was actually designed to allow the use of the naturally occurring substances. And these standards also prohibits or strictly limits the synthetic substances. Now, organic agricultural methods, they are internationally regulated and they are legally enforced by many nations, and largely they are based in parts of the standards that are set by the International Federation of the Organic Agriculture Movements. This is abbreviated as IFOAM, and this is an international umbrella organization for the organic farming organizations which was established in the year 1972. Now let us define organic agriculture. So this is an integrated farming system that strives for sustainability, the enhancement of soil fertility and biological diversity, while with rare exceptions it can prohibit the synthetic pesticides, antibiotics, synthetic fertilizers, genetically modified organisms and the growth hormones. Now since the year 1990, the market for the organic food and other products has grown rapidly. So we find a large amount of the organic products. It can be organic honey, it can be the organic food and the pulses that are available. So you have seen that these products are now on the rise in the markets, on the shelves. Now in the year 2019, almost about 7 crore 23 lakh hectares globally were farmed organically. So this is actually a good number, and it represents 1.5% of the total world farmland. Now if we take agriculture into account, this has been practiced by our forefathers for several thousands of years without the use of any chemicals. But then the artificial fertilizers were first developed during the mid-19th century, and these were cheap and powerful, and they were also easy to transport them in bulk. Then there were pesticides which came, because when you're doing a lot of agriculture, then you find that you are finding different kinds of pest, predators and prey relationships exist in the ecosystem. So these pesticides also started occurring, and similar advances started occurring in the 1940s, where they were introduced in order to remove these pests from the system. Now these, when they were applied to the agricultural field, they had long-term side effects such as soil compaction, erosion, and also an overall decline in the soil fertility, along with health concerns about the toxic chemicals entering the food chain. Now in 1921, the founder pioneer of the organic movement, Albert Howard, and his wife Gabrielle Howard, they were accomplished botanists, and they founded an institute of plant industry in order to improve the traditional farming methods in our country, India. They brought improved animal husbandry methods from their scientific training and expertise, and by incorporating the aspects of Indian traditional methods, developed the protocols for the rotation of crops, soil erosion prevention techniques, and the systematic use of the compost and the manures. When they returned to Britain in 1930s, they started to work on a system of organic agriculture. The term eco-agriculture, this was coined in 1970 by Charles Walters, and an increasing environmental awareness in the general population that has transformed the originally supply-driven organic movement to a demand-driven one. Now in the developing world, many producers, they farm according to the traditional methods that are comparable to the organic farming, but these are not certified, and that may also not include the latest scientific advancements which is done in the organic agriculture field. The use of organic, this refers to the use of organic matter that is derived from the plant compost. It can also include the animal manure to improve the humus content of the soils. So this was grounded in the work of the early soil scientists who were focusing on this work, and then they developed what it was called as the humus farming. Biodynamic agriculturists, they on the other hand, they use the term organic in order to indicate that a farm should also be viewed as a living organism. So there were two concepts. So organic agriculture defined by the International Federation of the Organic Agriculture Movement, they say that it is a production system that sustains the health of the soils, ecosystem and the people. It relies on the ecological processes, biodiversity and cycles adapted to local conditions rather than the use of inputs with adverse effects. Organic agriculture, this combines the tradition, the innovation, the science to benefit the shared environment and promote the fair relationships and a good quality of life for all who are involved. Organic farming methods, so they combine the scientific knowledge of ecology and some modern technology with traditional farming practices based on the naturally occurring biological processes. While the conventional agriculture system, they use the synthetic pesticides and water-soluble synthetically purified fertilizers, organic farmers, they use the natural pesticides and the fertilizers. An example of a natural pesticide, that is pyrethrin, and this is found in the chrysanthemum flower. The principal methods of organic farming, as we have already discussed, they include the crop rotation, green manure and compost, biological pest control and certain mechanical cultivations. So these measures, they use the natural environment to enhance the agricultural productivity, and leguminous plants are also planted in order so that they can fix the nitrogen into the soil naturally, and the unnatural insect predators, they are also encouraged. According to the scientist Lampkin in 1994 and 1997, the aim of the organic farming, it is to create integrated, humane, environmentally and economically sustainable production systems which maximize the reliance on the farm-derived renewable resources and the management of the ecological and biological processes and interactions so as to provide acceptable levels of the crop, livestock and the human nutrition, protection from the pest and disease, and an appropriate return to the human and other resources. So from all these definitions, we have defined 2-3 definitions. It is seen that the organic farming strives for the safety of the health of the environment and also the animal health, the plant health and also the human health finally. Therefore, indiscriminate use of the chemicals in the farming, this has led to several health and environmental complications over the period of time. So one of the most valuable benefits of organic farming, that is the improvement in the soil quality. And this can be expressed in terms of chemical, physical and biological properties and their interactions. Now let us discuss about the scope of this organic farming. The scope is immense due to its varied advantage over the practices of chemical farming. Environmental pollution, health hazards, the loss in soil fertility, these are all some of the very important factors and attributes of the chemical based farming. Several stretches of the land have become infertile due to this chemically based farming. The groundwater has also become unsuitable for the drinking purposes. The animals that are reared under the organic farming, these are healthy and they do not have any contagious diseases, and their products are chemical free and they are highly nutritive. So thus it can be inferred that the organic farming, this offers a great scope in the food production and the conservation of the natural resources. So now these days you may be using certain apps in order to order your dairy products or even ordering your milk. And then here again they say that this has been, the cows are actually healthy and they are farmed using the organic based feed and the derivatives, and they are very healthy and the milk is highly free of the chemicals, and they are very nutritional content is also high, or they are highly nutritive. So all these factors are taken into account, so the consumer is able to take a right choice, a right decision, and he is able to make a conscious decision when purchasing these products. Because when you are buying milk from a vendor or from a milkman, you don't know the source of that milk. But with these apps and with these organically grown cows or the buffalo milk which we are getting, we are at least able to know the source from where our milk or the source from where our paneer or your cheese comes from. So this is actually a good thing, and this chain and this movement has now started growing, and we have a lot of people who are environmentally conscious about the choices that they make in their daily life. So that is why organic farming has a great scope in a lot of the fields. Now there is an increasing trend in the expansion of the area also under organic farming globally. So worldwide, if we see 2.3 trillion farmers, they are engaged in the organic production. It could be for the agricultural, for the plant products, or for your growing your wheat or the paddy, and also it can also include the livestock for the dairy production and so on. So in India alone, if we take the organic industry, this has sustained an annual growth rate of around 50 to 60% in production. Almost every state in the country now, it is producing organic products. So we are having separate shops which are focusing on delivering the organic products to its customers. So Sikkim state is one state in our country which is declared as a total organic state, and the maximum area under the organic farming, for example in Madhya Pradesh, this is 52%, followed by Maharashtra and also Orissa. So these are certain positive trends which are taken into which are occurring. Now there are 6,50,000 farmers who are registered as organic farmers in our country, and this is the highest number in the world. India is the largest organic cotton producer at 74.2% in the world, followed by China, which is only 10.5%. And also in the contribution to the national economy, in the year 2012, 130 million euros were earned just by exporting these organic food products alone. So now the numbers also have increased to a very high extent. Now crop diversity. Organic farming is allowing and encouraging the crop diversity by planting a variety of the vegetable crop, and it is supporting wide range of beneficial insects, soil microorganisms and other factors. All this is adding up to the farm health. Then the crop diversity is also helping the species from going extinct. Soil management. So in organic farming, here again we are focusing on the green manure practices and also composting. So the microbes, the earthworms which are involved in vermicomposting practices, they release the nutrients which are available to the plants in a very natural process. Then also by reducing the fuel intensive tillage, the less soil organic matter will be lost to the atmosphere. What has this occurred? What has this resulted in? That means there is an added benefit of the carbon sequestration, which is reducing the greenhouse gas and helping reverse the climate change phenomena. So reducing the tillage, this may also improve the overall soil structure, and it will reduce the potential for the soil erosion. Weed management. So organic weed management, this promotes the weed suppression rather than weed elimination by enhancing crop competition and phytotoxic effects on the weeds. Farmers integrate the cultural, biological, mechanical, physical and chemical tactics to manage the weeds without the synthetic herbicides. Some naturally sourced chemicals that are allowed for the herbicidal use, and these include the essential oils, a few selective bioherbicides that are based on the fungal pathogens and also on the viral pathogens. These have also been developed. Weeds can also be controlled by grazing. Some examples include the geese that have been used for successfully growing on the cotton, on strawberries, for the tobacco field and also in the corn fields. In the same way, ducks and fishes, they have been allowed to graze in the paddy field, in the wet paddy field, where then that will actually work on the weeds and also certain insects. So they are natural ways of protecting the farming practices. Now, controlling the other organisms that are present in the environment. So chloroxylon, this is also used for pest management in the organic rice cultivation in the Chhattisgarh in India. Rotating the crops or the crop rotation, that also to the different locations, it will interrupt the pest reproduction cycles annually. Then you can also plant the companion crops, pest repelling plants that will discourage and divert the pest. Then you can use biological pesticides and also the herbicides, and you can use insect trap to monitor and also control the insect populations. Livestock. So healthy cows are very important, only then we can get the healthy products. And so when these cows are not healthy, then the success rate of the products that are obtained will also be quite less. So therefore, vaccines are also playing a very important in animal health, and the cows need to be vaccinated. Antibiotic therapy is actually prohibited in the organic farming. So how do we then go about it? Raising the livestock and the poultry for the meat, dairy and the eggs. It is another traditional farming activity in addition to the vegetable or the fruit farming. So the organic farms will attempt to provide these animals, that is those animals that are grown on these organic farms, with natural living conditions and the feed. So their feed is also totally organic. Their feed must be organic and they must also be pastured naturally in the environments. Genetic modification. So this is also a very important thing that organic farming takes into account. A key characteristic of the organic farming is the exclusion of the genetically engineered plants and the animals. So because there are certain controversies that are going on regarding the use of the genetically modified food and genetically modified organisms in production of the food products. In 1998, IFOAM's 12th Scientific Conference, which had a large number of participants, they issued the Mar del Plata Declaration, where more than 600 delegates from over 60 countries, they voted unanimously to exclude the use of the genetically modified organisms in the organic food production and agriculture. So this was a turning point. Although these GMOs are excluded from the organic farming, there is concern that from the pollen from these genetically modified crops or from those fields that can penetrate the organic heirloom and the seed stocks, making it difficult to keep these genomes away and from them entering the organic food supply. So there are some important standards for the organic certification, and they include the national standards and also the international standards. So national standards, as the name implies, they have been formulated by a particular country for their domestic organic production system. For example, NPOP, USA's NOP, that is National Organic Program, and India also has its own national standard. The international standards, those which are accepted by all the organic production countries, and these are the IFOAM and the Codex Organic Standards. So different countries have formulated their standards adopting these internationally accepted norms. Some important standards. Let us now see the NOP, that is a National Organic Program. It is a standard, organic standard of the United States of America, and it is regulated by the USDA. Then you have the Japanese Agriculture Standard, and it is also known as the Japanese Agricultural Organic Standard. And this has been further developed with the addition of the JAS standards for organic livestock product, organic processed foods of the animal origin and organic feed, which took effect in the year November 2005. BioSwiss. This was an association of the Swiss Organic Agriculture Organization standards, and this is applicable for the farmers who are practicing organic agriculture in Switzerland. Likewise, there are many countries that have already developed standards in organic farming for their domestic regulations. A number of African countries such as Uganda, Ghana, etc., they have also devised their organic regulations. The national standards for organic farming. The Government of India through its Ministry of Commerce has developed the National Program of Organic Production (NPOP), and this was in the year 2000. It is being implemented through the Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Development Agency, which is a statutory body under the Ministry of Commerce. So now these standards for the organic products have been listed in the NPOP, and that is available under the following product categories, that is for the crop production, how to go about the livestock, poultry and their products, the beekeeping and apiculture, aquaculture production, food processing and handling, any other category of products that the national accreditation body may include from time to time. Indian organic logo. Now this is a hallmark of the organic product that are produced as per the NPOP in India. So we should actually look for this logo on the packet of the products, and this logo legally establishes the fact that a product is totally organic. Now in the NPOP, they also have prescribed certain colors of the logo and their significance to the nature and the environment. So all these colors, they signify the role of organic farming in preserving the nature and natural resources. Chemical versus organic farming. So both have distinct features, and right from the crop sowing to the storage, both of them differ. So now in this table you can see the parameters that are given on one side and the farming techniques that are given in the other two columns. So for example, if fertilizer is a parameter, then in chemical farming this is artificially synthesized. In the organic farming, the organic manure such as compost, vermicompost or biofertilizers, azolla, etc. can be used. Animal husbandry. In chemical farming, they have been given the antibiotics and artificial rearing conditions. But in the organic farming, these are mostly, they are given the medicines from the plants, that is medicinal plants and other traditional sources, and they are given the natural conditions, so they are able to graze naturally in the farms. Then the seeds. Any seed, GMO or the hybrid is used in chemical farming. Whereas in organic farming, there is no genetically modified organism. The seeds are only from the traditional sources. Now environment. The chemical and their residues also prevail in the environment, including the groundwater. But in the case of organic farming, no chemical or residues of the chemicals will be seen. Few traces may be observed due to the contamination. Soil fertility. Now this also, it is mostly short term due to no perpetuation of any biological cycle. And in the organic farming, long-term soil fertility due to the presence of abundant soil flora and the fauna is present. Then in the case of carbon sequestration, there is very less carbon sequestration due to poor humus content in the soils in the case of chemical farming. But in the case of organic farming, the carbon sequestration is high due to high carbon content, and equally there is a high presence of high microbial population. Pest control. This is done using the synthetic pesticides in the case of chemicals, and the plant immune system is also quite low due to the high dose of the synthetic nutrients and faster growth. All this is leading to certain dilution effects. But in the case of organics, the use of plant-based pesticides, biocontrol agents, they are used, and due to the high presence of the more flavonoids, the growth of the plant is optimum. Cropping system. So in the case of chemical, they are following the monocropping or the monoculture, but in the case of organic cultivation, the mixed cropping system is being followed. Critical control points or CCPs. So these are the possible threat to the integrity of the production and the processing system for the organic products. They are also called as the organic critical points or OCPs. So it is a procedure in an organic system where the loss of organic integrity may occur through the co-mingling with the non-organic product and also contamination with the prohibited substances. So this can occur. Under the NPOP, the following critical control points are listed for the risk assessment. So the measures should be taken by the farmers to deal with the part conversion, because sometimes what happens, farmers will still grow one part of their land as non-organic crop and one part as the organic crop. So there should not be a co-mingling, or from the non-organic part that chemical or any residue should not enter the organic field. Then the conversion period is important, and also the production rules for the entire production unit, like the type of seeds, the fertilization, the soil management, pest management, prevention of the drift that is a drifting of these chemicals from one part to another, and also animal husbandry. So these are the threats and the critical control points which are listed for the risk assessment studies. Also the harvest and the post harvest procedures. Then processing and the handling procedures. For example, you are having a neighbor which is also who is also having the farm next to yours. He may not be practicing the organic cultivation. So though you are not using any chemical in your farm or any kind of a pollutant, but then you don't have control over your neighbors. They may be spraying certain kind of synthetic pesticides and the sprays. So their actions can be hazardous for your farm and hazardous for the safety of your product. So these threats is called as the CCP, and the CCP are also given for all the products and the actions such as livestock, crop production, processing, transportation and so on. Contamination control. So under organic farming, the measures to control the contamination, they form an integral component of the product's system. Contamination can be through air, water, soil and also through the chemicals. When a chemical is sprayed or applied in the field, it blows with the air and it can reach to the other destination. So this process is called as the drift. The drift is a major threat to organic farming if it is in the vicinity, if any chemical is used in the vicinity. Coming on to the safety of the organic foods. So definitely the organic foods are safer when compared to the conventional production system where the chemicals are being used, and since no chemical or genetically modified organisms are used, we are really safe to consume these products, and since these are not allowed in organic farming, the chances of the residual contamination of the environment through the escape is quite minimal. Under conventional animal husbandry, the animals are fed with the antibiotics and with the chemicals, and then they are not able to be in the open environment or in those natural pastures and so on. So they are actually constricted to the place where they are being reared, which is not environmentally sound, and then so for example, what happens, these antibiotics or the chemicals, they persist in the animal body and then they can be toxic to the human health. So there were several reports earlier which said that even the mother's milk, the human milk, also contained a lot of the pesticides. So where was all this coming from? Because from the food chain, when they biomagnify, then they can enter the human system, and then we also become the contaminants for transferring these kind of the chemicals to the progeny and to our own children. So therefore milk is not that free from the pesticides, and that is why people are more now, either they are going vegan, they are trying to drop these products, because the way the animals are also, they are being slaughtered, and the practices that are being followed for the milking practices, that is also it's not a very nice sight to see if you have actually entered these industries and the factories where they are being done. So many of them, when they look at this, they feel bad how the animals are being treated, and then they start going vegan in the process. So that is also one point which has to be taken into account, where when it is organic, then the animals are free, we are not giving any kind of a pressure, so they are freely roaming in the natural environment, and then they are being milked when they have to. So the pollen grains of the crop plants are safe for the people working in the farm, and they will not get any kind of allergy, and also it is safe for the bees and other beneficial insects that is visiting the farms and the crop plants. Organic farming definitely for the long-term soil fertility and natural crop, insect, pest and disease management is really good. Building the long-term sustainable soil fertility, that is a prime objective of organic farming, and the organic manures are endowed with multiple nutrients, and they also help in building a healthy microbial network in the soil. And these microbes, they work tirelessly towards simplifying the complex compounds into simpler compounds for their energy requirement. So my dear learners, in this module we learnt about the organic farming techniques and how the organic farming is definitely safer compared to the chemical based farming techniques. We saw the differences between the both, and we also saw certain standards and the measures that are being taken by the different countries, and also the global standards and the association which are working for the high safety of the consumers by going on for organic produced derivatives. Thank you for your patient listening.